Hello ladies, it's Carolyn from Homespun Seasons. Just wanted to bring you a little tutorial I came up with for a do-it-yourself face mask. Some of the hospitals in the US have been asking for sewers to make face masks, but some of you would like to have a face mask, sorry about that. Some of you would like to have face masks just for when you're going out getting groceries and stuff. This face mask is not like an N95 mask, but it should help keep you from spreading germs and hopefully prevent a few germs from getting to you. I'm using 100% cotton, tightly woven quilting cotton. An N95 mask is 95% efficient at screening viruses and bacteria. Tightly woven cotton appears to be about 75%. Now the one difference is these masks will not tightly seal around your face, so there will be gaps. I found the gaps around my nose if I was wearing my glasses. That helped significantly with that. But as long as there's gaps like that, there is potential for viruses to get around it. Anyway, enough said. This mask is, I've got some pleats in it. It is 2 layers of tightly woven cotton with elastics for the ears. And I'm using this lingerie elastic. If you have 1/4 inch or 1/8 inch elastic, that'll work. The round elastic will work. You need 2 7-inch long pieces of elastic. And I have cut this fabric 8.5 by 7 inches. 8.5 is the height. So if you have directional fabric, you want that to be just like on a piece of paper. Your directional fabric will be this way, your fabric will be longer that way. Okay, so let's take a look at this. We start with the 2 pieces of fabric and we place them right sides together. So what I have done is I am pinning my elastic inside my pieces of fabric. So this is the long way, and my elastic will be pinned in about 1/4 inch down from the top, and then I will put these 2 pieces, these sandwiches, right sides together and pin it. Okay, and I will take the other side of that elastic and bring it down and pin it down here as well. Okay. Okay, so this is kind of going to roll up a little bit because the elastic, of course, is holding it. You can stretch it. It is a good idea to put a few more pins in here. And when you're stitching this, try to remember this elastic you do not want to catch into your seam, okay? So when you're stitching, use your fingers to feel and make sure that this elastic is not in your seam. The only place it should be in your seam is up in these corners where you've pinned it. So you want to feel, I can feel the elastic is over here, okay? And you're going to stitch all the way around this, except you're going to leave 2 inches on the top or bottom open. And that is so you can turn it right side out, okay? So you will stitch all the way around. You'll stitch along the bottom, and again, more pins would be better. So you will stitch, I go to 1/4 inch from the corners and go up, and we would stretch this, okay? So you're going to stitch all the way around. You're just going to leave a 2-inch opening either at the top or the bottom, okay? So we have another one like that, okay? So this one has been stitched and turned right side, and you can see there's my opening where I flipped it. Okay, so now you have the elastics at the top and the bottom for your ears, and you can see I've got all these funky pins in here. Okay, I'm going to take these pins out. Okay, So this is what it looks like after you've stitched and turned it around, and I did a little press to get those raw edges inside. We're going to top stitch this once we have our pleats put in. Okay, so if this is your diagram of your fabric, and I'm going to adjust this a little bit so maybe you can see it a little better. Okay, we're using 1/4 inch seam allowances. So that was my fabric, and I had the elastics inside. I stitched around, leave a 2 inch opening, preferably at the bottom. Now we're going to mark the pleats. And what I've basically done, I measured 1.5 inches up from the bottom when I've turned it. And I put a pin on either side. And then another 1/2 inch, pin on either side. Then 1 inch, pin on either side. 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1/2 inch, and 1.5 on the top. So basically there is 1.5 inch on the top and bottom, and then 1/2 inch pleats separated by 1 inch spaces. Okay, so we'll look at this again once I show you my fabric. Okay, so if we look at this, we get our ruler. I just basically set my ruler down and I pinned at 1.5 inch, then again at 1/2 inch, then 1 inch, then 1/2 inch, another 1 inch, 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1/2 inch, and then it's actually 1.5 inches to the top. Okay, so these intervals are going to be for your pleats. I do the same thing on both sides, okay? So now what we can do, if we start at the top, this is a 1/2 inch, there's 1.5 inches here and then 1/2 inch. So if we take this first pin and we fold it back and fold it again at the second pin, so basically that's what's going to happen. This is our top pin. We're going to fold it there, and then the pin that's a 1/2 inch lower is going to be where we fold it underneath. So the fold is right along here, and we will pin that. Okay, so I can take out this pin and this pin, and again on this side we're going to put a pin in to hold that pleat. Okay, we're going to do the same thing right here. We're going to take, so there's a 1 inch gap here. We're going to take this next pin above a 1/2 inch and we're going to fold it down. Okay, so this pin and this pin are a 1/2 inch apart. You're going to fold it at the bottom one and fold it at the top one, and we're going to pin that. Okay, so we want all these pins, all these pleats to be going in the same direction. Okay, and we do that on both sides. And I can take that pin out, make sure this one is catching both of my layers. Okay, so here's another 1/2 inch gap. We're going to take the top pin, fold it down, and fold it again at the bottom pin. Okay, so just like that. There you go. And we're going to do the same on the other side. Okay. And we will take this pin. It starts getting a little bit bulky. All right, so I've got these. Okay. Okay, so we're going to do the last one. We take the top pin, we fold it down, make our little pleat. And I'm going to get you to lift up, Rachel, if you could lift up the iron to get it hot for me. We'll press it at the end just to get our iron warming up. Okay. My assistant. There we go. Okay, so we're going to pin that one as well. Okay. There we go. So now we only have 4 pins and we will have 4 pleats. Okay, so that's how this is going to look. Just like that. All right. Okay. All right. So there you go. So hopefully this diagram that I showed you earlier makes a little more sense. Okay, so all these 1/2 inch ones, you take the top pin of the 1/2 inch and you fold it down so that this is the bottom half of the fold, this is the top half. So you bring it down like that, okay? And that's what creates these pleats. Okay, so now we're going to sew all the way around this face mask. We're going to top stitch. We're going to top stitch our edge closed, and we're going to stitch these pleats into place. Okay, so let's move over to the machine. Okay, and I will see if I can get the machine into focus now. Hopefully that works. All right. So we're just going to top stitch. Actually, I'm going to go a little closer to the edge. Okay. And this is just going to be a straight stitch. And we're going to sew those pleats nicely in, being careful not to hit our pins. And I'm going to use my stylus to get that edge lined up nice and straight. This does get a little bit dense, so some of your machines may balk it a little bit. There's quite a few layers of fabric in there. All right. Take that pin out. Okay. And we're going to pivot. All right. I love how the presser foot comes up a little bit. So you can see I had a little bit of bulk there, and it just came up enough for me to be able to stuff that under. Okay, so this is where my my opening is, so I'm going to make sure that gets top stitched closed. Now the one thing I didn't do when I was turning this inside out is I did not clip the corners. That probably would have been a good idea. Okay. All right, so we have this lovely mask. We'll just take this out of the way. and move these pins. There we go. And now we're going to come back and we're going to give it a little press. Okay. So, right about now, we're going to just give these little folds a nice little press. All right. Okay. A little bit of steam on your wool pressing mat goes a long way. And we can just check the back and see if we've got that laid out nicely as well. These don't have to lay completely flat because the idea is that the pleats are there to open up should they need to. Okay, so now you have a nice little face mask and it can expand as it needs to. Alrighty. So hopefully this helps. Like I said, this is like the mask. This is like the mask they give you when you go to the hospital. It's for your protection and to keep you from spreading germs. And there's still a risk of germs getting around it, but it should offer you some protection. It should also help you remember not to touch your face quite as often. Okay, so I'll just go over those numbers again. So I cut 2 pieces of fabric, 8.5 by 7 inches, and I pinned 1.5 inches from the bottom and top, and then 1/2 inch and 1 inch spacing in between, and those are for the pleats. I used 2 7-inch pieces of elastic, and that's about all you need, your sewing machine and some thread. And trying to keep it with 100% cotton. It's very breathable, and it can also tolerate heat if it needs to be boiled or anything for disinfecting. And hopefully that gives you an idea how to make yourself a nice face mask. Thanks for watching, guys. Feel free to share this video. Bye-bye.